JaiGuruji Maharaj, Shukrana, Shukrana Guruji Maharaj. It is yet another blessed time to read the. Let me just make sure this video is on. JaiGuruji Maharaj. It is recitation of Light of Divinity, and the chapter is called He Lit a Candle in the Darkness of My Night. And this one, of course, it's written by someone that Maharaj, an author, a Sangat who was blessed to be a vessel of Guruji Maharaj in writing the book The Divine Light. So this is Anita Kumar's Satsang. And it's incredible. I resonate and I feel like, of course the situations were different, the events, the upbringing, the culture, everything. But whatever Maharaj did in a way, or whatever this Sangat experience was kind of similar. So no coincidences in what he does, and choosing to come through the divine light, and similar experiences, or the squeezing of the lemon, I should say. Shukrana to Maharaj for him squeezing us, as he says, in the divine light. I love those greatly who I squeeze like a lemon. As humans, we see the squeezing, we are perceiving the pain and the suffering, yet he has a divine plan. As we all know, a diamond has to go through that pressure to become a diamond. And like Commander Uncle once said, in order to get the bread, the wheat has to be, the grain has to get crushed and just squeezed sort of to become bread. So Shukrana for him putting us through that pressure, through that suffering, to bless us to become who he wants us to become, his masterpieces. And it's a progress, it's a process, and he only knows how long it has to go for. So Shukrana. He lit a candle in the darkness of my night. Certain occurrences are beyond the realm of human understanding, and we can only embrace such experiences with the conviction that divine intervention has prevailed. I shall be eternally grateful to Guruji, who gave me a new lease of life. With the benefit of hindsight, I understand why, although at that time the reasons were unclear to me. Misery shrouded the core of my being as my suffering was intense. Every cell and nerve of mine was filled with agony on the physical and psychological levels. Even though Guruji had entered my life as a beacon of light, I was unable to see beyond my own darkness and despair. And recently I shared a satsang that even though Maharaj blessed and came to my life, it just didn't make sense why I still had certain fears or certain things happen in my life. I still had certain things that I felt was holding me back. And Maharaj guided me to read the book Many Lives, Many Masters, and it just made sense. A lot of it made sense because he blessed with a lot of past life mystical dreams, and it just made sense. So I kind of resonate with what she was going through. Even though Maharaj comes, you're still not fully healed, and that's his will. He has his own timing for everything. Born and raised in Manchester, UK, I suffered from congenital asthma and eczema, as well as a hole in the heart. My childhood was traumatic for my parents and very tiring and trying for me. However, on account of strong health karma, my spirit had become indomitable, as I had to endure much more than my contemporaries. I had learned to rise above the trivialities at a tender age due to my tribulations. I had reservations about my life exceeding 10 years. Good fortune prevailed. tribulations. I pretty much Google every word that I can't say before, but when I come to read it, it's like Guruji's like, it's okay. Just be you. My parents, on the other hand, live with uncertainty, as the heart specialist had painted a grim picture for me. I was a healthy and happy teenager enjoying all the joys that life offered. At 22, I tied the knot and migrated to Delhi. However, as fate had it, a cloud of torment again descended upon my life. As my asthma choked me with every changing season, I was hospitalized each time and given steroid injections. I felt dejected and rejected, as despite my best efforts to evade and avoid asthma attacks, I was still stuck with the worst kind. My most life-threatening one stuck me in 1997, and that is when I resigned to it completely. I recall praying in my heart that this be the final one, as I could no longer endure the affliction. During that ill-fated time, I had developed a nasty skin condition that enveloped my entire body. A biopsy confirmed I had skin cancer. I kept my plight to myself, as I was determined not to shock my family. It was earth-shattering news, and I had decidedly reached the end of the road, as my strength to go on had diminished. However, in the darkness of my night, Guruji, by divine grace, lit a candle. Each time I revisit the day I glimpsed him, I can distinctly recollect my feelings. As good fortune had it, Guruji sat alone in his room that day when my friend, who had insisted on my paying him a visit, accompanied me to him. His mere presence overwhelmed me. I had felt like a lost child all my life who had finally found the comfort and protection of her mother. I had been instantly taken under his wing. I had discovered true love like never before. It was pure and unconditional. How true. I felt at home as he embraced me with his infinite love and asked me to attend his congregation every evening. Come rain or shine, I would go to Guruji every evening and sit amongst hundreds of other devotees. At that time, I was undergoing immense physical pain as my skin was oozing with pus and blood. In addition, I was psychologically distressed, and this made me increasingly uncomfortable around people. As time elapsed, Guruji bestowed upon me a blessing that began to heal me internally. As Guruji Maharaj says, I have to clean the vessels, the dirty vessel, the internal first, and then the external will be cleansed on its own automatically. So it's so beautiful. The cleansing has a deep meaning, a blessing in disguise. As time elapsed, Guruji bestowed upon me a blessing that began to heal me internally. I began to accept my condition, and instead of resisting and fighting it with an overlook of bitterness and animosity, I made peace with it. I accepted the inevitability of my illness, and since I grew to be at ease with it and with my circumstances, I went with the flow without expecting to be healed. I didn't believe that healing was a possibility. Merely being with Guruji and imbibing his energy elevated my spirits, and I expected no more. I was finally at peace. As I immersed myself more and more in his gracious presence, I felt a spiritual awakening. So true. We just have to be with Maharaj. We don't have to go anywhere, do anything. We just have to be in his presence. And the energy, his divine energy, blesses us in ways that are just unimaginable. We would never know. I don't think I would. This is just my own experience. We never know what he's doing. It's beyond our comprehension. I felt a spiritual awakening. I simply loved being with him as he rendered upon me love that I never knew before. His love was pure and unconditional, and the kind that could not be substituted. I gravitated towards him very naturally and effortlessly every single evening without fail. On a blessed day, on the blessed day, he summoned me to the front, where he sat, and quite openly announced in Punjabi, which I must confess was Greek to me, that he had tried and tested and squeezed me like a lemon, and that now he would heal me. Oh, he does. He does, but it's so worth it. I must not fail to add how true his words were, as he had left no stone unturned in testing my endurance to see if I was worthy of his love. I returned home that evening with hope and joy blossoming in my heart. All those months that my skin was inflamed, I would avoid my reflection as I was daunted by it. The mirror was a painful sight. The turning point arrived when Guruji endowed me with his eternal blessings and advised me to muster the courage to look in the mirror. As Guruji Maharaj has said, look your fear in the face and it will cease to cause any fear in you. Just look. And I believe he has guided us to read Autobiography of a Yogi, and of course it's all Guruji Maharaj in different forms, and he spoke those words through Sri Yukteswar, Paramahansa Yogananda's guru, that, when he was a child, I know I'm going to another book, but it's okay. As his mother, Sri Yukteswar's mother, one day says, don't go to the other room. There's I believe there's a demon or whatever in that room, and he had this wisdom, of course, embedded in him, probably from previous lifetimes. And as a child, he had this wisdom that he should face his fear. So he went to the room, and there was nothing to be found, even though it was all dark and no one was there. And then he came and he said to Paramahansa Yogananda this memory of his, and he said, face your fears right in it, face the fear in its face, and it will cease to frighten you. It's so true, so true. And we lost where we were. The turning point arrived when Guruji to advise me to muster the courage to look in the mirror. Courage is what it took, as the reflection had changed by only a fraction. However, within a few weeks, I saw a new me standing in the mirror, a stranger to myself. I was overawed by Guruji. Without a shadow of doubt, I was convinced of his sublime healing powers, and my love for him grew ever stronger, and my faith even more formidable. Changing seasons came and went, but did not trigger off my asthma attacks. In fact, I breathed Delhi's polluted air as normally as anyone I knew without being choked by it. Guruji gave me a new lease of life and told me that I would not have survived if he had not healed me. His words corresponded with an astrologers whom I had met much earlier that year. I also had that experience myself, where Maharaj told me that if it wasn't for him, I would have not lived beyond 2018. Shukrana Maharaj. It is a challenge for me to give expression to the transformation that took place, but the least I can say is that he healed me not only physically, but also enriched me spiritually. After the longest time, I began to feel comfortable in my own skin, literally. However, Guruji's tests are unending, and as nature has it, we become selfishly distant once we are granted our prayers. One particular incident demonstrated how Guruji never ceases to love his disciples. As Guruji Maharaj says, you can let go of my hand, not hold my hand anymore, but I will never let go of holding my disciple, my Sangat's hand. So how beautiful that we have this confirmation that no matter what, even if we let go of his hand, and may that day never come, but he's always there holding us. No matter where we're going, it's him taking us. It's his will. He had told me to light a candle before his photograph every day. One day, after lighting half a box of matches, the candle had still not lit. Much to my dismay, in a fit of fury, I went to the bathroom, came out, and there was a lit candle. I was startled. That very evening, as a mark of respect, I specially visited Guruji, even though it was not my visiting day. As I bowed to touch his feet, he whispered softly in his usual gracious voice, "So the candle lit, did it not?" I knew then that it was I who had distanced myself from Guruji, and he, on the contrary, always remained connected. I have so many sangats saying this that, I don't feel connected to Maharaj anymore. I don't feel, he's with me. I don't, it's okay. It's the human um, emotion that we go through. But how incredible that he repeatedly shows his sangat that it's not him who's become distant. It's in fact us, and how he pulls us closer to him. As long as we just want to have him, connect with him with the heart, he will create situations, circumstances, and sometimes you have to go through the squeezing to get to that, and it's worth it. In a world, I knew then that it was I who had distanced myself from Guruji, and he, on the contrary, always remained connected. In a word, I would like to conclude my humbly experiencing my heartfelt gratitude to him and live every moment feeling indebted to his grace. Satsang of a devotee. Shukrana Guruji Maharaj for never letting go of our hands. Shukrana Maharaj. Jai Guruji. Namaste.